Hey fam, and welcome to the Happily Ever Active podcast, powered by Fit for the Magic, where Disney magic meets health and wellness. I'm Stephen Kabibi, your friendly personal healthcare companion, and I help travelers like you train for your next trip like it's an endurance event so that you can walk all day, feel strong in your body, and come home feeling energized and not wrecked. Today, I am sitting down with Stacy, aka the Disney Hotel Lady, and we're getting into something that doesn't get talked about enough, and that is what a Disneyland trip actually does to your body, and why so many Disney World veterans show up completely off guard when they visit Disneyland. We talk hotel strategy, why the midday break hits you differently at Disneyland compared to Disney World, and the mindset shift that can completely change how you experience the parks. Find everything, including my pocketbook guide, Disney Ready, your pain-free park survival guide, over at fitforthemagic.com. And if you learned something useful on this episode, please share the show and tell a friend. Okay, here we go. I am so excited to have Stacy here on the Happily Ever Active podcast, who is the face behind Disney Hotel Lady. Stacy, let me just hand the mic over to you. For anyone who hasn't found you yet, and trust me, after this episode, they will definitely want to seek you out for Disneyland-related content. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, and how you became the Disney Hotel Lady?
Sure. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Stephen. I'm Stacy. I'm the Disney Hotel Lady. I help families choose their hotel for their Disneyland vacation. And I got into the hotel side of vacations because when they say, do what you love and you'll never work a day, etc. And I wanted to do something that I love, and I thought, okay, I know a lot about Disney, but I feel like I'm looking at it every day. I feel like there's so much in the Disney space already.
For
so I
sure.
wanted to go, towards something that I felt like there wasn't enough information about. And for me, that was the hotels, because I remember when I planned my first trip as an adult, doing all the decision making, I felt overwhelmed by all the choices that there are around Disneyland, and I didn't know what to do, and I wished I had someone I could talk to about that. So I thought, why don't I become that someone for the next person?
Which is so true. Like, when you compare Disneyland to Disney World, and we'll get into that a little bit later, there's such a big difference in terms of your choices to stay at. And as a former Disneyland local myself, like, I know about the hotels that are there, but for anyone that doesn't know exactly what's going on at Disneyland, it's really easy to get lost in the sauce, so to speak, and not really know what you're going to get into, right? So, and again, like you said, like, it's not talked about enough, which is perfect for you as someone who loves that and wants to share that information with everyone. So I love it, and this is why you're a perfect guest to have for this episode. Now, when someone who goes to Disney World often shows up to Disneyland for their first time and they think, yeah, I got this. I mean, like, Disney World's so much bigger than Disneyland. There's so much more to navigate there. What's the first thing that might catch them off guard at Disneyland?
I think possibly before they even show up at the gates, it could be the planning, because if you are more familiar, a pro at Disney World, you know that you need to be on the computer, 60 days, 120 days in advance,
So
6 a.m. making these reservations, it's lightning lane, not fast pass, lightning lane.
I miss those too.
So you got to be doing all of that ahead of time. Whereas Disneyland, that's not the case. You can't do. You can make dining reservations, but it's not the same as Disney World. So that's a big change right up front. And then I also think if you are avid Disney World goer and you're used to that, you might get tripped up by, as you said, thinking, oh, Disney World is just bigger. I don't, I've got it. I don't need to do. Whereas it's still Disney, So even though it is smaller, you're still going to be having a pretty packed full day. And it's not actually that different from your days at Disney World.
For sure. I was at Disneyland about a month ago, and I looked at how many steps I had taken on one singular day, and I still clocked in, I think, close to 30,000 steps, which is not unheard of at Disneyland. So, like, newsflash for anyone that hasn't gone to Disneyland yet, you'd be surprised how many steps you'll take on your Disneyland trip, because yes, it's smaller. There are only 2 parks, but you're going to be doing a lot more walking. And like Stacy, like you alluded to, there's a lot less of that planning aspect. And if I'm reading what you're saying correctly, there's also a lot more of this not off the cuff, but you're kind of planning on the fly. Would you say,
Yes.
Would you agree? So because
Yes,
of the planning
definitely.
on the fly, I think you tend to walk more sometimes because plans can change on a dime, right?
Yes, you hear people a clamor over here and you're like, "Oh, what's going on? Let's go check it out." And there's some character roaming around or the band has started coming out and, all kinds of stuff like that happening all the time. So,
That's so true, which is something that's very different from Disney World. I mean, like, Disney World's slowly bringing their streetmosphere entertainment stuff back, but Disneyland's been on that train for a while now, since
yeah.
since COVID happened. So yeah, all those unplanned events, there's a lot more of that, and that's one reason why I love Disneyland. So I alluded to how you can still get a ton more steps at Disneyland compared to what you would expect at Disney World. It sounds like that's more of a misconception that people tend to have, that Disneyland is a lot easier on the body. Do you have anything to add to that before we move on?
I was just gonna say I agree with you. I think my last trip before COVID, I think I had 30,000 steps was my average as well. After COVID, I kind of tend to tour a little differently, but that was when I was doing the all day park open to park close.
Yeah.
So I would say don't do that though. Like
Right.
there's a very narrow, very, very narrow population that park open to park close actually works for. Everybody else needs to just stop it. Don't do that.
Everyone's a little different, so their planning should be different. And I think we'll talk about that later too. So I love that you brought that up. So you've seen in your space, you've seen a lot of Disneyland first timers come and go. What's the most common mistake you tend to see Disney World fans make when they try to apply their Disney World strategy to a Disneyland trip?
I think it's like what we've already spoken about, that they underestimate Disneyland because of it being smaller. But really, I think that makes you walk more because you have it in your head. It's smaller, so I can push myself more.
That's a good
And
point.
then the parks are so close together, you don't get that break if you park hop of, jumping on a bus or a monorail or a ferry or whatever, and you actually sit down, you're walking between those parks.
That's
So
right.
it's more than you think it is.
I think that's a really big point that needs to be emphasized again, is the fact that Disneyland Park and Disney's California Adventure Park, they're right there across each other from the Esplanade, which is very different from how to park hop at Disney World, where, like you said, you hop on a ferry, you get on the bus, you get on the monorail, and it takes like 30 minutes to get to the next park. Here at Disneyland, it's like 3 to 4 minutes and you're at the next park. So it's easy
Yeah.
to go from park to park to park to park. And you mentioned fast passes, like a certain subset of Disney guests remember the time when you had to get those printed fast passes from the ride. I distinctly remember getting my printed fast pass to Space Mountain and having my return time be like 2 hours later. So I would jet across the Esplanade to California Adventure, get my next fast pass when I could for when it was Tower of Terror, and then jump back to Disneyland Park to go on to Space Mountain, and then jump back to Disney California Adventure to get onto Tower of Terror. So like that's a lot of walking, and it may not happen that way with the physical fast passes being gone now, but a lot of the elements of that still exist, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because you're like, oh, there's a time, let me grab it. And then you didn't realize, oh, wait, we have a time already for, Incredicoaster, and it's only 15 minutes apart from when we got Indiana Jones. So then you're still trying to make those times. So, yeah.
It surprises people for sure. For sure. Now, let's go ahead and talk hotels. Can you talk us? I see your face light up. Can you walk us through the Disneyland Resort hotel landscape for someone who's never stayed there before? Like, what are the options, and what do you typically get at each level? And is the price difference worth it compared to what other options are there down the street?
Okay, so Disneyland is really interesting and very, very different from Disney World, specifically as it relates to hotels. Because in Disney World, yes, you've got your value, your moderate, and your deluxe, and it's very clear what's expected at each level. The Disney operated hotels out in California, there are only three. And while they do have different prices, I think they all would fall into that deluxe category if you are
Yeah.
familiar with Disney World. I It has been very, very rare that I have seen the lowest priced one, which is now Pixar Place Hotel, priced below $300 a night. Like you might catch a high 200s, but it's been a really long time since I've seen that. So all of the Disneyland hotels, which are Disneyland Hotel, the Grand Californian, and Pixar Place Hotel, those are the three. They're all above $300 a night. Grand I've easily seen it over 1,000. So
And that's just for a normal room, which is pretty
yes,
wild to think
not
about.
even anything special like club level or a suite or
Right.
anything.
But the perks, I mean, let's talk about the perks of just the Disneyland hotel, like the Disneyland Resort hotels first, and then let's move on from there. Um, Proximity is one of them, yeah?
It is, yes. Grand Californian is basically inside California Adventure Park. Like it's kind of like an offshoot of the park itself. It has its own entrance. So proximity is a huge selling factor for the Grand Californian. It's a beautiful hotel. In addition, I mean, they're Disney properties, the level of detail and the storytelling is all absolutely amazing and fantastic, of course. But actually, in the last, not even year, maybe 6 to 8 months, the major perk for the Disneyland hotels they've taken it away. It was early entry. You got 30 minutes into one or the other parks, and that has been done away with. It is no more. So it's hard to justify that price tag now because what they've replaced it with is one lightning lane per person per stay, not per day, per stay. So if you've got a 5-night stay, you get one extra lightning lane for your stay. So to me, advising people on choosing their hotels, it's really hard to justify the cost of the Disneyland hotels now. I believe that they'll add something, but I am not sure when that will be because now we just got word this month, I think, that Disneyland Forward is moving ahead, so there's going to be a lot of construction out here at Disneyland for the next 10 or plus years.
Right.
So I'm not sure if it and when. I know they will. I feel very strongly about that, but when is it's the big question mark right now when they're going to add those perks back to the guests for the guests staying in the Disneyland hotels.
Especially since as they move forward with the Disneyland Forward project, there's just going to be, like you said, a lot of construction, which can affect your hotel experience, right?
Yes, for sure. For sure.
We at Disney World know that a lot. But yeah, that's a good point. And I didn't even think about that on my last Disneyland resort stay, because we stayed at the Pixar. Oh my gosh, let me make sure I get this right. Pixar Place Hotel.
Yeah.
And we got the Lightning Lane, and the cast member that told us about it said, you know, this is basically like, it's one of those on your last day in the parks, one of those like, is there any ride that you missed that you want to ride, or anything that you wanted to ride again? Like, that's what that Lightning Lane's for, which is very different from that extra 30 minutes that you get in the morning. Like, it's, yeah, I do miss that. I miss that a lot. So then if those things are considered for the 3 hotels on the Disneyland Resort property, what other options do you have when you stay at the Disneyland area?
So again, it's very different from Disney World. Everything is Disney operated. Mm-hmm. You hardly can stay outside of the bubble. You know, it's hard to get off Disney property. Right. Whereas Disneyland, some of the hotels that are right across the street on Harbor are actually closer than the Disneyland Hotel or Pixar Place Hotel. Oh, so wow. You can spend less money and be less steps away from the gates than paying the extra for the Disneyland hotels. So off property is really the way to go at Disneyland. But then that brings in, you know, all kinds of independently run hotels. Basically all of the chains, any chain you can name has a property near Disneyland. And then their proximity, there's the, as I call it, across the street, which is right here on Harbor. It only consists of about 14 hotels. And then you've got everything outside of that could be anywhere from a 10-minute walk to a 20 or 30-minute walk if you're going to walk. And you've got all the amenities too, from free breakfast to free parking, you know, pools, hot tubs, fireworks views. You can have some great firework view rooms off Disney property and for a fraction of the price. So there's really a lot of choice.
Yeah. You know what? That's something I didn't really think about when comparing the hotels, because if you're staying at Pixar Place Hotel, you still have to walk across the street through the Grand Californian, either into downtown Disney, and walk all the way across downtown Disney to get to the park. Mm-hmm. And then if you're staying at the Disneyland Hotel, it's a lot of the same minus the walk across the street. You still got to walk across downtown Disney to get into the park. Mm-hmm. The real advantage is
you
staying
cross the street. They just
yeah, right. The bridge.
Yeah, you just don't realize you're crossing a street.
That's right.
Disney's so good at making everything
seamless, just absolutely seamless.
Yeah, there's no street.
And at Grand Californian, like, we talked about how you're basically in the park, but then at a cost. Mm-hmm. So to have those other hotels across the street with many really good amenities that a lot of them are simply closer to the parks, it's hard to pass those options up.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's paint the picture even more vividly for our listeners. Proximity to the parks can mean a lot, especially with, you know, how much steps you take throughout the day. We just talked about that earlier, but also, you know, I can imagine staying at the park all day, coming back and realizing that you have, a 20 or maybe 30-minute walk back to your hotel. Proximity of the park to the parks can be a lot. Can you paint a picture of what a trip might feel like when you nail your hotel location versus when you get it wrong?
Yeah, sure. So let's go with the, more unadvisable course of you were up, you're so excited, you're up at, you know, 6 a.m., you're skip breakfast. Who needs breakfast? We're at the park. We're lined up at 7 for rope drop at 8. We're in the park. We're, having fun. We're riding rides. We're eating. Then maybe, I don't know, noon, 1 o'clock rolls around. You start slowing down. You're getting, okay, yeah, we're still having fun, but everything's a little slower. You make it through fireworks, and then you're like, all right, it's time, we made it. Let's get back to our hotel. And then you realize all that energy and excitement you had at 6 a.m. is totally gone. You are probably a little dehydrated. You may have overeaten a little bit, and you are just kind of dead on your feet, right? And you walk outside the gates and you look down the street, and it's like there's all these people, there's all these cars, there's all this traffic, and you have to make it 20 minutes, allowing for all the stoplights and the walk signs down this. You're like, why did we choose this hotel? Why? It was cheap. Great. That's not helping me right now. Whereas if we can go the other way and say, okay, we were all excited. We woke up at 6, but we had a little breakfast. We started our day right. We still got there early. We got to rope drop. We had some fun, and we got to lunchtime. We're like, we're dragging. Let's pop back to the hotel. We walked 5 or 10 minutes. We had a swim. We took a nap, and we're still back in the park by 4 or 5 o'clock. We can have dinner, more rides. We can watch the parades, the fireworks. And now it's fireworks time, and we're like, hey, let's catch one more ride, maybe 2, and then we'll just pop back to our hotel for a good night's sleep and still be in bed by, 11 o'clock or so.
Which is solid. That's a solid
Yeah,
day.
that's a huge difference. Huge difference, in my opinion. I think in most people's opinion.
Yeah. At Disney World, so many guests talk about that midday break, which is really convenient when you have the right transportation to get there. At Disneyland, it could be a different story depending on where you stay. So you painted that picture perfectly. Yes. If you're closer, you get to do that. And then you get to finish off your day strong and still go back to sleep at a reasonable time. Right? As opposed to staying farther away, and then you're looking down the sidewalk and you're like, why did we do that? So yes. That's a really good point.
And right, so we're it's June 2026. We're talking this, and what is making a huge difference right now for everyone going to Disneyland is there used to be a paid shuttle that went through basically every hotel. Pardon me. Blah, blah, blah. You asked your front desk which route you were on, where the stop was. You could catch that shuttle in the morning and the evening. It ran all day, and that shuttle is no more. It's called the Art Shuttle. It was shut down just in March of this year, and so far nothing has replaced it, at least on the scale of being able to hit every hotel. The city of Garden Grove introduced their own line, which serves about 12 hotels down at the most southern sort of edge of proximity to Disneyland. So those hotels still have they're farther away, but you still have a great justification and motivation to book down there because they are offering a shuttle.
Right.
Most everyone else is not. So you will be walking or you'll be driving.
Got it. Got it. So you've still got potential options, but not like it was
Yeah,
before March.
definitely. Yep.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Why don't we move on to talking about Disneyland as more of an endurance event? Because that's something I talk about all the time. And I mean, like, it actually is because of how much you're
Hmm.
walking, right? At Disney World, it's a
Hmm.
much of the same thing. You're walking a ton. You're walking, 20 plus thousand steps. And we just talked about how it's very similar at Disneyland, if not more. Now, from everything that you've seen as someone who's been immersed in the Disneyland resort world, that's kind of weird to say. What does a typical park day actually demand of someone's body, specifically Disneyland?
It's very similar to Disney World. I don't know that there's that many differences. I mean, you're besides what we've already discussed, you don't
Yeah.
have the transportation options. We do have a monorail, but it stops in downtown Disney and Tomorrowland. There's only two stops on our monorail. So you really have to, I guess the difference is you really have to like plan when you're taking a rest, when you're sitting down, when you're giving your feet a break, your back a break, your kids a break, when you're getting out of the sun, because California is still very warm and not as humid, but as Florida, but still humid place, especially if you're talking about coming from the middle of the country. It's still
Yeah.
warm, still humid, and yeah, you still have those environmental factors, and you need shade and water. And no, I'm sorry, soda does not count as water.
Thank you. You hear those listeners? Now, you mentioned something I want to emphasize, and that is the lack of transportation options. Because at Disney
Mhm.
World, you have the buses, yes, which you have right now at Disneyland still. You have like the tram, which you still have at Disneyland, but
Mhm.
you have the monorail, which you have at Disneyland. You don't have boat options. You don't
Mhm.
have other like ferry type options. There's a lot more
Mhm.
transportation options at Disney World that is lacking at Disneyland, and
Mhm.
it's. I think it's fair to say because of that, you are likely to get more steps in.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
that leads me to the next point that you had mentioned, which I want to emphasize again, is planning rest breaks at Disneyland sounds like it is more important than planning rest
Mhm.
breaks at Disney World. I wouldn't say it's that much more, but like it's still big enough to emphasize, hey, you got to make sure you take those rest breaks throughout the day because they could mean the difference between having energy for the fireworks and you're back screaming and wanting to go back before the fireworks even start. Am I
Right.
reading that right?
Yes, yes, for sure. And the thing too about Disneyland is because it is smaller, a lot of the common spaces are smaller too. So you might say, okay, we've planned our rest break. It's now. Here's the closest, place to sit down, and it's full. It's already got enough people in it. So then you're walking again, trying to find a place to actually take your rest.
That's a good point, and that's something I haven't even thought of. Like everyone knows that Disneyland. I say Disneyland's more homey. People say it's smaller. I say it's more homey. But because of that, like yeah, because of that, like you said, the common areas are smaller, meaning you have to plan and know strategically where to go. That's
Hmm.
brilliant. I didn't even think of that.
Hmm.
And then the last thing you brought up was weather. Yes, it's hot, but it's not as humid, and
Hmm.
that's a different type of weather than what is at Disney World. At Disney
Hmm.
World, it's like you're sweating immediately, and you got to deal with that sort of weather and heat. Versus at Disneyland, yeah, it's hot, but it's more like a dry heat, right?
Right. Yeah, you may not start sweating until 2 hours in,
Right.
but it's still getting you. It's still getting you. You're just less aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Mm, you mentioned earlier, which I want to emphasize again. You mentioned the idea of getting that midday break. especially when you make sure that you choose the right hotel for you that's closer in proximity to the park. How much of a difference does that make for someone's overall Disneyland experience, having access to that?
Well, I can speak from personal experience on this. It makes a huge difference. You feel like you get more done. You feel more satisfied with what you're able to get done because you enjoyed it more. So it's, rather than pushing yourself because it's smaller, take the breaks you need. I know Disneyland is expensive, but plan for the extra day instead of trying to cram everything into 2 days because that's what the other social media influencer told you could do. The needs of your family should come first, not what anybody online is telling you. You know your family and what they're able to handle. And if you need breaks, take those breaks. It's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. That's massive advice that needs to be emphasized again. Like, everybody is different. Everybody is different. Everybody has different needs. And even within your own group, you have different needs from your kiddo or, your sibling that you're going with. So the point of your trip is to enjoy it. So come to the park with the emphasis of enjoying it, not necessarily to ride everything.
Right.
That's a really
Disneyland's, even though it's smaller, you're still not going to do everything. Same as at Disney World.
True.
You just
true.
forget that. You're not going to do everything.
I have this question on cue, and I feel like your answer might be similar to what we've talked about earlier, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
Okay.
So when you're advising the first timer that's going to Disneyland, what is the single biggest mindset shift that you try to have them make, especially if they're coming with the I have to do everything mentality?
Forget that. You're not going to do everything.
All right, that's it.
Yep.
That's that mic drop right there.
Go home. Yep. Don't do everything.
We're done.
Don't think you can do everything and don't do everything.
Right, which is very different. I mean, it's different, but it's not different from a Disney World trip. I think it's more common knowledge that you can't do everything at Disney World. But now you're here telling you, the Disneyland expert and the Disneyland hotel expert, you are saying, don't do everything at Disneyland because you can't. Right?
Right.
And you mean that with love.
I do. I mean it with so much love. And part of it is because, as we already said, so many things are unplanned. You can't plan to do the things you don't know will happen or Downtown Disney is so different. It's, again, so much smaller than Disney Springs, but there's usually some sort of arts and craft for kids or some sort of entertainment at the stage, and those things I feel are not as widely publicized as things like parades and fireworks in the park. So you might be taking a break in downtown Disney and then find there's all this stuff to do there that you weren't expecting. So I think with Disneyland, it's more on the scale of you don't know how to plan it because there's all this unexpected stuff. So there's simply no way of knowing how to do it all because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And that's like that, again, we talked about that earlier. That's the big thing. That's one of the big things that's different between the two coastal parks. Now, when it comes to Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure Park, how do you recommend first timers that use the two park that get, what do you call them, park hoppers? How do you recommend doing their trips strategically, not to just see more like we talked about earlier, but really just to actually manage their energy across the entire day?
So I would recommend, my personal recommendation would be to don't get a park hopper because you can always upgrade later, right? So buy your just one park per day tickets for however many days you're going to be there. start off by just focusing on one park at a time. So you go, most people like to start with Disneyland first. You go to Disneyland, you see how it is, what you like, what rides you don't get to. Next day you go to California Adventure, you see how it is, what you like, what rides you don't get to, and then based on how many days you have left, you can decide, okay, do we want to keep focusing on just one park at a time, or do we want to go to the window and upgrade our ticket to a park hopper so that then we can
Yeah.
go back and forth because there's only a couple things here and there we missed and we don't need to do anything else again, or there's so many more options when you do it that way and you focus instead of getting that squirrel brain where it's like just
Yeah.
focus.
That's such a good point. And buying that one day, one park ticket almost forces you to stay. I mean, it literally forces, physically forces you to stay in that one park. But then you can enjoy everything that there is there without your mind half thinking like, oh, what's at the other park? Because we can park hop there. That's a really good point. And then, like you said, you can always upgrade later.
Right.
When it comes to scheduling, are there any big mistakes that you see first timers make that almost guarantee they're going to hit the wall mid-afternoon? We're talking about like the energy wall.
The energy wall as far as scheduling. I would say just again, like not taking the breaks before you get to that, mid-afternoon, like a mid-morning break. I know I'm guilty of it still to this day. You get going in the morning, you're hitting ride after ride, and you just forget to take a break. And that just brings that wall that much closer, like earlier time wise. So instead of being maybe 2, now it's 12:30 because you've been going nonstop for 3 hours. So, sit down and people watch for 5 minutes and your feet will thank you, your brain will thank you.
Such an underrated activity. Like I think one of the best things to do is just sit down by the hub on a bench with a corn dog because you're at Disneyland Park and the corn dogs there are so good. And then just people watch. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be, a whole big ordeal, this midday break. It could be a 5-minute break. And then later in the day, it could be a longer break at the hotel pool, like you mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, that's great.
Or in California Adventure, go into Avengers Campus, buy the tater tots at Pim's Test Kitchen.
So
You
good.
will thank me later. Buy the tater tots, go outside and watch these kids meet their Marvel heroes
Oh, yes.
because they're free roaming in Avengers
Yeah.
Campus. That is just, you cannot beat those tater tots and beat watching those kids see their heroes in real life. It's
Talk about unplanned experiences because you never really know who of those characters are going to come out, but then you also never really know what kiddos are out there, how they're going to interact. So yeah, that's brilliant. I'll have to do that next time I'm at Disneyland. Thanks for the tip.
You're welcome.
Let's shift into recovery. So you've had long Disneyland days, and like we all have. What is your personal wind down routine? What does that look like when you get back to your hotel, especially at the end of a big park day?
So, my favorite thing, which I also think is underrated, is going to the hotel hot tub. And there are a handful of hotels that do not have a hot tub, so that should be on
Okay.
your list. Make sure the
Yeah.
hotel you're considering has a hot tub. And that's the easiest way because it doesn't feel like recovery, right? It just feels like I'm relaxing in, you bring your water, preferably water, or your adult beverage down to the hot tub and you sit for a few minutes, you get off your feet, all that's good for your muscles and everything. And if you can get in front of a jet and get it right on your back just right where that backpack was
Always
sitting
feels
all
so
day
good.
and Yeah, that's my favorite part. But I also, since I've met you, Stephen, actually, I have these bands now, just your cheap
Exercise
pack
bands.
exercise
Yeah.
bands
Yeah.
from Amazon. I pack those because they take up hardly any space, and then, you can just kind of try to get some traction on whatever is, hurting in the bed or, wherever is comfortable to get that. But actually, there is one specific hotel that I want to talk about that has, like, if there's no other reason to book this hotel, this is double the reason to book this hotel. The
My ears are
Westin
perked.
Anaheim offers a recovery kit. You can rent it for $5 a day from their concierge desk. And what it is it's a little bag filled with all of the, the percussion devices, the massage
Ah, okay.
guns, and it's got like leg sleeves, it's got the ball, it's like every percussion device you can think of, they have it in this little $5 kit.
How
So
interesting.
even if you have four adults in the room or two adults and two kids, everybody can take a device and, rub it wherever is hurting, and it's it's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, and just think about how much space that saves you in your suitcase, right?
Yeah.
I love to talk about, little tools here and there that you can bring that don't take up much space. But if you're staying at the Westin Anaheim and you have access to that, by all means, you have now extra space in your suitcase for other merchandise to bring home.
Exactly. And they
That's
also
awesome.
have it, I should mention, if you are penny pinching, because the Westin is one of the higher priced offsite properties, but and I personally think $5 a day is well worth it for the amount of choice of devices you get. But if you are penny pinching, the Westin also has maybe about a quarter or half of those devices available for free in their gym. So,
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Which is
mhm.
not something you'll see at almost any other hotel, period.
Yeah, I think I've seen that only in like the upper priced hotels around Disneyland.
How
Just a
interesting.
couple
Yeah.
of other properties like Westin and JW Marriott I think had it as well in the
Okay.
gym.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, when you get back home from Disneyland, because you have to fly back home, I clearly would have to fly back home as well. How do you transition back to real life, both physically but also mentally? Because the shift back can be very challenging for our audience. Is there some sort of like routine or habit that helps you get back to real life?
I try to come back on a day so that the next day, so you have your travel day,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next day I try to make that where, I don't have to show up for work, I don't have anything planned, so that I can just be around my home. I can sleep in if I need. I can do more stretching if I need. I can, drink more water. We've always got electrolytes in the house. So for us, that's how we recover.
Yeah.
Now we're in a community with a pool, which is only open during the summer, but that would be something I would do to get, things moving. Because usually I'm really, really sore and I don't want to move. So, but also, I forget, Epsom salt bath is also something we do a lot. And I've even taken some Epsom salts with me and done Epsom salt baths in the hotel at Disneyland. So
I was gonna
that's
say a lot of people that participate in the Run Disney events also do that, where they'll bring their Epsom salts and take advantage of the bathtubs at the resorts. So it's
yes.
definitely not unheard of. But the whole having an extra day to acclimate, I guess, back to real life, that's good. That's really, really
Hmm.
good because then you're not just getting back to real life, all of a sudden you're having some time to figuratively land the plane, right, before you get
Right.
back.
Going back then too to the Epsom salt baths,
Yeah.
you reminded me of a memory that I wanted to share because it ties in. We went on a multi-generational trip to Disney World, actually, not Disneyland. No, wait, no, we were at Disneyland. I've done multi-generational trips to both, so
That's awesome.
we were
That's
at
so cool.
Disneyland. We were fortunate enough to be in the Grand California in that time. We were in the DVC side, the suites.
Mm-hmm.
So the one bedroom has the really big jetted tub, right? In the DVC properties, the one bedrooms and above, one
Right.
bedroom has the really big jetted tub. And everybody, it was our first day, and we'd gone a little too hard, and so everybody's feet were just really tired. And we have this picture. My nephew was 3 years old at the time. We have this picture of myself, my mom, my sister, my nephew, and I think one of the husbands, all with our feet in the jetted tub, soaking our feet after our long Disney day. So, can always just soak your feet in the tub if you don't want to get, the full submersion going. But
Yeah, that's a great place to start. Absolutely. Now, we talked a lot about, Disneyland, Disney World, the differences between the two. Now, if someone right now that's listening who has gone to Disney World several times, has never gone to Disneyland, and they're thinking about going to Disneyland, but they keep putting that trip off, what do you say to them to finally convince them to go?
ooh, that's a tough one because everyone's reasons for putting it off are different. So one reason I hear a lot is people think it's going to be the same. So I'll address that reason. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. There's several rides, a lot of rides actually, that Disney World doesn't have that Disneyland
Mm-hmm.
has. The shows are different. The fireworks are different. It's not the same. Don't even worry about it being the same. Like if you get deja vu, like that's as far as it's gonna be like the same. You might be like, "Oh, this reminds me of that one." That's as far as it's the same. Come out, you will have a totally different experience. Give it a
Totally.
try. You might end up liking it better. Who knows?
Which is a hard question to ask. Whenever someone asks, do I like Disney World or Disneyland better? I kind of cock my head over and I'm like, I
I
can't,
hate that
I
question
can't
with my
answer
entire being.
that. I can't answer
No.
that for you. They are different.
That's like asking a parent to choose a favorite child. No, you just don't do that, people. You don't do that.
Now, I think that my answer then from this point forward would be you just have to go visit.
You
You
just
really
have
do,
to.
because you won't know until you experience it. Because there is so much, like you said, so many different things that Disneyland offers that Disney World doesn't. The vibe's different. The experiences are different. Yeah. So that's good. That's good. Is there anything for the Disneyland first timer that you wish they knew before they booked their hotel? Especially since, you want people to avoid learning the hard way.
Yes. And we talked about this earlier, but I want to make it clear.
Yeah.
Proximity is a huge factor, but you do not have to stay across the street. There's, like I said, 14 or so hotels right there that all have about the same pricing, and there's vastly different experiences between those hotels, but they're able to be priced the way they are because of their location.
Yeah.
You can go just 5 more minutes away and get something much cheaper that's newer or more freshly remodeled with better amenities, and you're just 5 more minutes. 5 minutes at the end of the night that we were talking about, that's not going to make a huge difference. So just go just that much further. Usually I recommend you go even farther away because there was a shuttle available. Now that's not the case. I have to change my advice. So, but that would be my advice. Don't get boxed into saying I have to stay in this proximity here, because then that severely limits your budget and the experience that you'll have, because I'm sorry to say, several of those hotels are not keeping up their hotel the way I think that they should be.
I see.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like they feel like they don't have to because people come anyway because of their location. So anyway,
Well, I mean, that's why you do what you do, right? You give updates based on things that change, construction, things that are taken away, added on, and that's why you have, that's why you are Disney Hotel Lady, right? That's why you make your blogs. That's why you have your podcast. That's why you're here to share all of that information, so people don't have to go out to search for that information like it's a mystery, or book the hotel and realize, oh, I should have stayed somewhere else,
those pictures don't match what I am seeing right now. Yeah.
Which is wild.
Don't do that.
Which, again, makes it perfect for you to share that knowledge with everyone that goes to Disneyland. So,
And I see some really lovely influencers that I've met in person. They're lovely people, but they recommend one hotel.
Oh.
And that may not fit their entire audience.
Right.
There's one influencer I'm thinking of in particular, and she recommends a hotel that's over a mile from the park. And every time she does that, I think, yeah, but what about these families with little kids in strollers that have to walk that? Like, something closer would fit them better, I feel. So just because your favorite, Instagram or TikTok person recommends a hotel doesn't necessarily mean it's the right one for you. It could. It might be better to look somewhere else.
Yeah. And like we talked about earlier, everyone's going to have different preferences based on what they like, what the family's like, how much walking they're willing to do, if they have a car or not. I mean, that's why, you have your website available, and you are also pretty easy to reach out to.
Yes, please reach out to me. I would love to help you personally. And I don't know if we've talked about this yet, Stephen, but I'm planning to this summer release my first product, which is a quiz that asks you a specific set of questions based on your travel plans and needs, and then gives you recommendations about what hotels would fit your answers. And it is based on my knowledge of and my personal stays at these hotels. And I've actually ranked them so that I'm sure that it's going to recommend good hotels for you.
That is so awesome. I'm very much looking forward to that. And when it does come out, make sure to send it my way so I could share it with everyone in my audience and my community as well. That's awesome.
I absolutely will, Stephen.
Where can everyone find you, follow you, and dive deeper into all of the information that you have?
Yeah, I'm the Disney Hotel Lady just about everywhere you are. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Possibly most helpfully, I'm on YouTube. I have hotel tours, room tours, property tours, all on YouTube. And then, of course, I have my website, DisneyHotelLady.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stacy. I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Stephen.
That's all for today's episode. If you're planning a trip and you feel like your knees, your back, or your stamina might let you down, I want you to check out my Disney Prep Rehab and Strengthening program. This isn't just a workout plan. It's specifically designed with your schedule so that you can be present to enjoy even the smallest magical moments with your loved ones. Let's get you strong before you get to Orlando. If that sounds like what you need before your next trip, make sure to head to the link in the show notes to schedule a discovery call so we can chat. And if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to share it with anyone that might benefit from it. And of course, please leave a rating or review in your favorite podcast app if you enjoyed the show. This helps me tremendously as I move forward with new episodes to come. I hope that you'll tune in to learn more about to have a pain-free, soreness-free, and exhaustion-free vacation so that you can make magical memories with your loved ones.